All right. So we woke up on this Monday feeling good, right? And cool weather again. Hopefully not like extremely cold like we got a week before last. But a nice day, drizzly and whatnot. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to March. It is the beginning of another day, beginning of another week, beginning of another month. And now's the time. Today's the time. Stop making excuses. We're going to be talking about quotes to stop making excuses. Fairly self-explanatory. All right. So I went on success.com and I found another article from the great Lydia Sweatt. Today it starts like this. Before you make your next excuse, ask yourself this: what can I do to improve? Be honest with yourself about what you can do better, and you can free yourself of the blame and the denial that is sure to hold you back. Take responsibility for your actions, and you can live an incredible life of integrity. Make time to create positive momentum, and you'll keep moving forward. Three super powerful words. Many people subscribe to them. All right. Keep moving forward progress. Otherwise, you're stagnant and you're not growing, right? So let's talk about growth and how we can stop making excuses. So it is within your power to make big things happen, says Lydia. Use these 15 motivational quotes to get your mind right. No excuses. Here we go. All right, kicking it off with First President George Washington. It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Nothing worse than coming up with a bad excuse for something that you have failed at or that you were responsible for. Just don't do it. I learned fairly early on that it was better received, one, obviously, because it's better to do, but also better in the long run to just take responsibility for what you did. Take responsibility for, and this, I'm not talking about huge things. I mean, I'm just talking about if you mess up at work, you did something wrong, you tried something, you shouldn't have done, whatever. And just, hey, it was my fault. And I apologize. What can I do to make it right? And look, nobody's perfect, right? So it's better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Don't offer a bad excuse, and especially in small situations like that. But it makes no sense. George Washington was that one. Benjamin Franklin, what the founding fathers? He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. Ben Franklin, wordsmith, and he comes up with a good one today. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. Just don't make excuses. Do what needs to be done. Get what needs to be get done. What are you aiming for? What are your goals? What do you? Okay, let's take a look at this last the beginning of this decade. Right, 2020 is coming around. It's like 2020 is my. That's it. It's divine providence. 2020, just beautiful. It's a perfect start point. Going to be a phenomenal year. And there were other plans. Didn't work out. It did for a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, right? But maybe it didn't work out for you. 2020 went by, and then you're like, okay, you know what? Let's sweep 2020 under the rug, kick it off 2021. We're not going to make a big deal about it like we did 2020 because it was this huge number that it was there almost like the year 2000. And we'll just make 2021 our year. And then January passes. January goes by, didn't quite get done what you needed to get done. February just ended yesterday, and you're like, what is going on, right? It's okay. It's okay. Today's the start of another month. Today is another opportunity. Again, every single moment we're alive is a chance at rebirth. So what can you do better? The start of the article said. What can you do better? What are you going to change to enhance who you are, to make you a better person, to get you to where you need to get to reach your goals? It's not excuses. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. Benjamin Franklin. Next quote, John Wooden. Never make excuses. Your friends don't need them, and your foes won't believe them. All right. Perfect. Your friends don't need your excuses. How about this? Your family, your loved ones. Your family, your loved ones, people you care about do not need your excuses. Your foes won't believe them, but I mean, shouldn't your loved ones, people you care about, matter more than anyone else? Is what you're doing by giving them an excuse for not coming through in whatever you're supposed to be doing, is that what they deserve? No. Never make excuses. Your friends don't need them, and your foes won't believe them. John Wooden. Next, George Washington Carver. 99% of the failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. Man, bad habits. We all have them. I bite my fingernails. I hate it. And I try and stop, right? But it's just one of those things, you know? And character flaw, defect. I'm not perfect, right? If you're perfect, congratulations. Please show us all the way. But, you know, nobody's perfect. And if you make a habit of making excuses, not going to turn out well. Guarantee you that, right? Whether you're going to be a doctor, a professional, day labor, whatever it is, Brian's logged in. Brian, we're talking about making excuses, right? 99% of the failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. I know you're taking steps to rectify yourself, to get to where you need to get to, right? Keep at it, buddy. You can do it. That quote, 99% of the failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. George Washington Carver. Next, Rudyard Kipling. We have 40 million reasons for failure. We fail. People fail. Humans fail. We make mistakes. We're fallible, right? We have 40 million reasons for failure, but not a single excuse. You can fail. Don't take that failure to be the end of your path, the end of your journey. You take that failure and learn it, take it as a learning moment. Not a failure, but a lesson that we can learn from, right? We have 40 million reasons for failure, but not a single excuse. Good morning, sis. Rudyard Kipling. Publius Cyrus. Every vice has its excuse ready. Whoa, man. What? Every vice has its excuse ready. I'd never heard that one. Wow. Man, that's harsh. Well, it's because, right? That excuse you have handy, you have just right in the back pocket, ready to pull out. It's like, why do you drink? Why do you gamble? Why do you eat so much, right? Oh, it's because every vice has its excuse ready. Yikes. Publilius Cyrus. Good one. Wow. Bruce Nauman. If you really want to do it, you do it. There are no excuses. It reminds me of another one, and forgive me if it's later on down this list, but it says if you really want to do it, you'll make it happen. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. You'll find a way. If you really want to do it, if it matters to you or whatever, you'll find a way. If it doesn't, you'll find an excuse, right? This one, Bruce Nauman says, if you really want to do it, you do it. There are no excuses. So what do you want to do? Do you want to get that degree? Do you want to raise your family properly? You want to become a better person? Self-development, personal development? If you really want to do it, you do it. There are no excuses. Bruce Nauman, I shared the link to this article on our comment page. Says 15 motivational quotes to stop making excuses. John Burroughs, a man can fail many times, but he isn't a failure until he begins to blame somebody else. Do you know of anyone who, instead of taking responsibility, just blames somebody else? Take responsibility. Is that person you? Are you blaming others for your failures? For your lack of commitment? Lack of dedication? Lack of focus? Whatever it is. again, nobody's perfect. We all fail. We all have our moments of weakness. We're only human, as the saying goes. But John Burroughs says a man can fail many times, but he isn't a failure until he begins to blame somebody else. Don't blame somebody else, especially if they're not responsible. Definitely, especially if they're not responsible. Next, Francois de la Rochefoucauld. I tried. We have more ability than willpower, and it is often an excuse to ourselves that we imagine that things are impossible. Oh, hang on. Let me get that measuring stick on that one. That's deep. We have more ability than willpower, and it is often an excuse to ourselves that we imagine that things are impossible. I can't do it. It's impossible. There's no way. Until the person that does it looks back to you and says, it's not impossible. Just do it. Oh, those 3 words, right? So many people have used them. Right? Just do it. But those first 6 words of this quote, we have more ability than willpower. Man, working on our willpower. I need to look on something on willpower. Persistence, right? Persistence is one of the greatest skills you can work on. Persistence. We have more ability than willpower. It means you can do it, but you got to set your mind to do it. You got to decide to do it and take action to do it, right? We have more ability than willpower, and it is often an excuse to ourselves that we imagine that things are impossible. That we imagine that things are impossible. Look back at something that you've done in your life that you, for whatever reason, were making excuses and said to yourself, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do it. But then you do it. And then you look back and go, why did that seem like an insurmountable thing when you're standing at the summit and you've conquered it, right? We have more ability than willpower, and it is often an excuse to ourselves that we imagine that things are impossible. Francois de la Rochefoucauld. Scott Spencer, easier to pronounce. The trouble with excuses is that they become inevitably difficult to believe after they've been used a couple of times. Keep making the same excuse. Especially, you know what? Especially an excuse you make to yourself. Making an excuse to yourself that you can't do it, that you lack some sort of fundamental skill or the will or the drive or the vision. You keep lying to yourself and making an excuse to yourself. The trouble with excuses is that they become inevitably difficult to believe after they've been used a couple of times. And I think once you start using it over and over and over and over and over, you're like, it doesn't matter that I don't believe it anymore. This is what I'm going to stick to because I'm convinced myself that it's impossible for me to do this. It's not. You have more ability than willpower. Instead of working on your excuses, work on your willpower. Instead of working on, work on, I need to. I must do it. No excuses. The trouble with excuses is that they become inevitably difficult to believe after they've been used a couple of times. Scott Spencer. Edward R. Murrow, newsman. Difficulty is the excuse history never accepts. Difficulty is the excuse history never accepts. It sounds profound, but I have no idea what that means. Why? Because I'm not all-knowing. I'm going to have to look that one again. Okay. Let me write that one down. 10. Difficulty is the excuse history never accepts. I guess what it could mean is just because it's difficult doesn't mean it can be used as an excuse to not do it. I'm guessing that's what that means. I have my limitations, right? I'm a simple man. But difficulty is the excuse history never accepts. Edward R. Murrow. I imagine that's what it means. Just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't do it. Don't use that as an excuse. Think about what you're doing. If you're going for something that's going to change your life for the better, that is going to change and enhance the life of your loved ones, the people you care, the community at large, society at large, and you making doing what needs to be done to achieve that goal, it depends on you. Difficulty is the excuse history never accepts. You must overcome it. You got to do it. You've got to do it. Stop looking back in regret. Just get it done. Edward R. Murrow, difficulty is the excuse history never accepts. Now I get it. Took me a bit. Had to hammer that one in there. William Arthur Ward, it is wise to direct your anger towards problems, not people. To focus your energies on answers, not excuses. All right. That was a good one. William Arthur Ward. It is wise to direct your anger towards problems, not people. That means blaming somebody else. To focus your energies on answers. Getting it done, figure it out. Difficulty will not be accepted by history, right? Not excuses. Don't direct your energies towards excuses. You are siphoning energy from your future success. Don't do that. Look, there are energy draws in life. There are negative people, there are negative circumstances that will try and pull energy off of you or pile negativity on you. Don't add to them. Don't help them. Defend yourself. You got that core of strength inside you. Inner core of strength. Build it up. Don't dampen it. It is wise to direct your anger towards problems, not people. To focus your energies on answers, not excuses. Getting to the final quotes. Henry Ward Beecher. Hold yourself responsible for a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. Never excuse yourself. That's easier said than done. But it can be done. Don't think, it's like, well, it's kind of difficult to hold myself to a higher standard. Well, what would happen? What is the worst that could happen if you held yourself responsible for a higher standard than anyone else expects of you? What would happen? What kind of person would that make you if you went all in? Make you a better person for sure. You're holding yourself to a higher standard. You deserve it. Your family deserves it. Society in general deserves it. But keep it in your microcosm of your family, of your loved ones, people you care about. Henry Ward Beecher, hold yourself responsible for a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. Never excuse yourself. The link to this article is in the comments. I encourage you to spend some time with these quotes and your own thoughts on these last two quotes. Laura Schlesinger, Dr. Laura. People with integrity do what they say they're going to do. Others have excuses. She's big on integrity, right, Laura, Dr. Laura? I think that's her thing. People with integrity do what they say they're going to do. Others have excuses. So, what did you tell your loved one that you were going to do? That you were going to succeed, right? That you're going to make it work. Whether it's a relationship, new undertaking, whatever it is. You told them you were going to do it. You told them. You said you were going to do it. Your word. People with integrity do what they say they are going to do. Others have excuses. Who are you going to be? A person filled with excuses, not getting it done, not succeeding, not completing the task. Or are you going to be that person with integrity and do what you say you are going to do? That's the choice. Black and white. And ultimately, you have to live with your choice. Every single moment we're alive is a chance of rebirth. Who's the person you're going to be born into? People with integrity do what they say they're going to do. Others have excuses. Laura Schlesinger, Dr. Laura. Last one. Last quote for today, for this Monday, March 1st. Mahatma Gandhi. It is wrong and immoral to seek to escape the consequences of one's acts. Taking responsibility and facing consequences. Holy mackerel. Wow. It is wrong and immoral to seek to escape the consequences of one's acts. Now, obviously, this has such a broad. This covers so much, right? But even on small acts, the consequences of what you've done. Maybe you wrong somebody. Don't wrong somebody just out of spite. You wrong somebody out of spite, you're hurting yourself. It's wrong and immoral to seek to escape the consequences of one's acts. Mahatma Gandhi. Let's strive to be better people. Strive to be contributors to our loved ones, to people we care about, to our family, to our partners, to our business partners, to our community, to our society, to our world. We can strive to be better, can't we? We can choose to be better. It's easy to break down. It's easy to create chaos. It's difficult to try and build a better world. It's difficult to try and be a better person. To try and enhance yourself and take personal responsibility and stop making excuses and make the world a better place. It's difficult, but it's worth it. It's a beautiful day outside. And the reason we do this, the reason we share quotes and discuss quotes and share the link so you can process these quotes on your own time is for knowledge. And knowledge is power. Imagination is king. And intelligence your weapon. Read a good book today. Enrich your mind. Above and beyond anything, take action. Take action. Be persistent. Do not make excuses. And change yourself and the world for the better. That's all we can ask for. That's all we can do. It's not easy. It's not an easy path. And we all have, our faults. Nobody's perfect. Do what we can. Make the area, the people, the life we live a source of positivity instead of adding to the negativity of the world. Hope you have a wonderful day. Plan to be back on a Wednesday at 8 a.m. See what we talk about then. Until we speak again, have yourself a wonderful day, and we'll be talking.